Hello everyone, good evening and well zooming, thank you very much. So we are here tonight to do the last session of the teaching on not only of this term and this year, but also this very special text, Mahayana Uttaratantra Shastra. So all of you have been very diligently been attending, so thank you for that. And now to do the teaching, we will first of all join your hands at the heart, and even more so from your heart, to profoundly express our devotion and refuge in the true triple gem, Buddha gem, Dharma gem, and Sangha gem. And without the continuity of these three gems, of course, this teaching wouldn't live long. It's written in the 4th century, remember that. Any writing lasting as long as 20 and the 17th century is pretty great, really. So with this in mind, let's do the refuge and 4 immeasurables. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajere Vajra Ladama Bhavaja Ajivendala Ajar Buddha Vajra and Abu Dadama Asanga Ajere Vijaladam by virtue Ajivendala Ajare Buddha Vajra and Abu Dadama Asanga Ajare Vijaladam by virtue Ajivendala Ajare Buddha Vajra. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment for those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment for those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Ego intelligence and predisposition of it. The Yajanda Dharma Agrela Gam of the last chapter, that's the 5th chapter, is on the benefit of listening and studying and then realizing the importance of these 7 Vajra points, particularly the 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th Vajra points, because Buddha nature, the 4th Vajra points, the Buddhahood, the fifth, and then quality is the sixth, and the enlightened activity is the fourth. If these four things are realized or practiced properly, then we get the result. That is the actual Buddha, the first gem, first of the seven Vajra points. And then we can teach, and then we can, then the whole the Sangha continues. So of that, that's the last one is the benefit of it, and we have already covered that. Now the closing part of this chapter is Asanga is spending some time why this text that he has composed is not his initial original writing, but rather it's based on the 7 Mahayana sutras. So that brings down to the earth that this sutra and its origin is what Shakyamuni Buddha taught 400 before Christ, and in 7 Mahayana sutras. And these 700 years after that, then Asanga himself heard and listened and studied, and he gives some credit to Maitreya, which probably is his name of his actual human teacher. But somehow he had a pure vision of seeing himself being taken to the Tushita heaven and then given teaching there. And even in the colophon he says this is written by Maitreya, Lord Maitreya. But Lord Maitreya is very unlikely to have been the author because Maitreya hasn't appeared in the world. And if he has, then he has to be a disciple of Buddha to have studied the 7 sutras. So there's no. So in any case, the whole Asanga himself says very clearly that he wrote these on the basis of those 7 Mahayana sutras. In verse 392, he lists all the sutras. So then he therefore asked people to know that how the wisdom of the Dharma is the excellent remedy, and he explains the purpose of the teaching, how it is taught, nature of the teaching, and nature of his own commentary, and then how to prevent this teaching from deterioration or from degeneration, and also warning the danger of losing the teachings if we do not know how to recognize the causes of degeneration of the teaching. This is, I suppose, his parting remarks here. So that's where we are coming to on verse number 398, in which he talks about identifying the causes of degeneration. So the reason why Dharma get degenerated is people lose interest. People lose interest. Why they lose interest? Due to their inferior understanding. Because their knowledge is so insignificant. The knowledge is so inferior. And they maybe only interpret literally, and when they don't understand something, they say this is so they degenerate. They don't study, they don't continue, let alone meditate, reflect, practice them. And so the first of the 10 causes of degeneration Dharma is people's inferior study. So that's why we have to study. So owing to the inferior and understanding of Dharma. So we should study these things. And second cause of degeneration is lack of wholesome aspiration. Yeah, people's aspiration is lacking the 3 types of faith. First is lucid faith. Second is aspiration faith. Third is the trusting faith in the Dharma. So they are devoid of this faith. So they have a little bit of aspiring faith. They may be interested and lose the interest quickly, and because they are looking for something else temporarily. For me now, this life, this body. If that doesn't make them happy, then they leave. That's it. So they don't have real aspiration for future lives, for the benefit of others, and for the sake of mainstream. See, the whole priority is wrong. So those who aspire to attain enlightenment, for the benefit of all sentient beings, it has to be for the benefit of others, for future lives, for mainstream. So it's not about me, this life, this body. Most people who, when they get disappointed and they become, disgruntled, that's because they're thinking of them, this body, and this life. So that's how. That's second cause of is the lack of wholesome aspiration. Their aspiration is very worldly, very mundane. They go to the practice because they have a friend who goes. If the friend doesn't want to go, they don't want to go. If they meet a friend whose interests otherwise, then they go with them. They change religion like they change clothes. Yeah, so that due to lack of wholesome aspiration, they change. So you can understand, people need lots of stock of merit to be able to lack of wholesome aspiration. And third cause of degeneration is indulging in distorted pride. Distorted pride means people have this arrogance in their own whatever upbringing, their culture, their language, and their whatever there is. I'm not here to point anyone's particular, and it applies to everybody. Instead of following the way of the wise, they will following the way of being arrogant, They say, I sat on the same panel as Dalai Lama. This is where my paper was presented, and this was published, and they try to promote their work. They're not interested in learning Dharma at all. And then they promote secular Buddhism, and then they turn their dirty back to the Dharma and to the school, to the lineage, to the teacher, to the Sangha, and we get plenty of those things, So, so then Asanga is clearly identifying this. He says, indulging in distorted pride, and they say, "I'm too good to be mixed with this kind of people," and then they stop their study. Their inferior study first. Secondly, lack of wholesome aspiration. Thirdly, distorted pride. And this is not talking about degeneration of Dharma. Degeneration their Dharma. Dharma as a whole is a collective karma. Some people who are thankfully not affected by this, of course, will not lose these things, But those individuals who is vulnerable to this, then they lose the faith, and then they get too proud to be part of something, They say, I resign. I don't want to belong to this group. Amazing, really. It's such a... You can see how this indulging in distorted pride, Please remove my name from the list, people call it. As if their goodness will be lost, It says here clearly, indulging in distorted pride is cause of one's degeneration of one's Dharma. If one is listening to someone promoting that, of course, then they're in the same group, I suppose. Fourth one is obscured by the deprivation of Dharma. Yeah, their knowledge of Dharma is very, very limited. Very, very limited. Empty vessel sound much, they call it. Those who don't know much make more noise. Those who know the Dharma, they know how to hold onto the real gem and not to do that. So because they're deprived of the real Dharma, and they're the one who make the loudest noise, and just as empty ones, they will also listen to it. Only few who have bit of Dharma, they will not be shaken. They will be the one who's holding those together. So they're not obscured by the deprivation Dharma. They have their practice happening. Some people wrap up their sadhana and send it to the center. It's cute. At least I don't want to burn it. And what they're doing instead, you can probably they're trying another joint. Back to square one, ganja again. Back to marijuana. Back to pubs. Johnny Walker will do. And fifth one is mistaking the interpretive as the ultimate meaning of the reality. This is a very big issue. Yeah, people are actually misinterpreting. They're interpreting the teachings, the interpretive meaning as ultimate meaning. So they confuse these things. They think that's it. They don't understand the relative meaning of the teachings and the ultimate meaning of teaching. These are not contradictory. And relative is relative, still relative truth, But ultimate truth, these two must not be confused one against another. Without relying on the relative truth, you can't understand ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is for the sake of wisdom. Relative truth is for the sake of compassion. So those who don't understand relative truth, you show compassion to them by yourself leaning on to the ultimate understanding of the ultimate truth, because you have the greater benefit of having the ultimate truth, and you don't use it to judge others, but rather show compassion to them. So, but others, those whose Dharma is degenerated, they don't do that. They do exactly opposite, mistaking the interpreted meaning as the ultimate. Sixth one is the thirst of the thirst of the greedy. They are seeking they're craving for some worldly pursuit in their practice. So because they did not get what they want, desire what they desire they didn't get, then they have justification to get angry or whatever. So because they are thirsty for their desire, for their importance, for their whether it's worldly things, they are thirsting. So they are actually seeking worldly pursuit thing in the practice Dharma, and when they didn't get that, then they throw the baby with the bath water. That's what happens. So they don't realize that the Dharma is to actually overcome their greed of desire of their whatever it is. So that's why these are respectively the causes of degeneration of your own Dharma. So Asanga is warning us from falling into these kind of traps. The seventh one is fixated views. When people hold certain opinions, views, and then they become so disjointed. As a result, they hold a negative view, critical view, judgmental view, divisive view, poisonous view. When they become subscribed to that, they are completely caught into the whirlpool of that spin, and they have no power to pull back, because they went one step too far, and they don't know how to turn back due to their arrogance, pride, and wrong views and wrong companion, no doubt, and therefore one is stuck, in the prison of the wrong view. They are not willing to change the view. They don't even know it's wrong, because that's what it is. That's what it is. Basically cursed by their own wrong move, and they think it's not their move. Of course, they think it's someone else's, and pointing the finger. This is exactly baby with bath water. In the first place, when people come to Dharma, we say, at least once we know the Dharma, at least we need to work with our mind. And instead of working with one's mind, one actually thinks it's otherwise. So back to square one, where one started from. One has made no progress but to fall into that fixated view. And then number 8 is influenced by critics. Because unfortunately those people have bad companions. They think they're my best friend. Because they respect him or listen to him, then they don't realize how poison their view is, and they completely got whipped away by that. Nyamba langshor, we call it. Nyamba langshor means, just addicted to their friendship. They don't even know how wrong their friend is, and they just got completely whipped by that, and there is no turning around. Influenced by someone who is critical, And people tend to listen to someone critical, They think they're too smart, they will know everything, so they know exactly what they're talking. But as a result of that, they are poisoned very easily, influenced by a critic. Of course, this happened to one person, and then another person. Of course, those person who's driven by such Mara will try more. It's just like the virus. It has spread to one, it spread everyone. And those who are vulnerable, those whose condition is very, very vulnerable, they become influenced very quickly. Only few will survive because they have some kind of wholesome, I would say, share of merit that can prevent them from falling into the whirlpool of others' negative influence. Yeah? Number 8. Ninth is staying away from the holders of the teaching. Yeah, they deliberately want to go away. they actually deliberately wanted to abandon associating with the Kalyana Mitra, spiritual friend. They do not see the spiritual friend as friend. They'll see the spiritual friend as cause of their own objects of hatred, or anger, or blame, or criticism, negativities. So that's exactly where quite a lot of individuals are who are straying away from the path, and then staying away from the teachings and fellow practitioners, and almost they are they feel ashamed to be part of them. They're too good to be part of it. They don't want nothing to do with it, they say. And this is not just in relation to people with the Dharma groups, but the people could be just those who are acting like this, also who estrange their parents. They're like that. They don't have nothing to do with them. That's when they become very degenerate to their own good. They do that with their own small, maybe family or whatever. Some people are bad, estranged from each other. Then the whole relationship with everyone is so badly estranged because they don't want anything to do with the holder of the family, like the mother or the father or whoever the case might be. Yeah. Staying away from the holders of the teachings, number 9, and the 10th one is inferior aspiration. Then one's motivation is very inferior, doing wrong and bad and most inferior things. They're interested in doing decadent things. They're interested in doing disruptive things, negative things, harmful things, hurtful things. And they do very well. They succeed very well. And they're very successful temporarily on the surface. And they think that's justified. And that's exactly what the people who try to destroy Dharma in say in India, when the Muslim leader Bhaktihari, when he destroyed Nalanda University, put on fire, he would have been celebrating how he succeeded to put the Nalanda University on fire. It's like that. They think they have a number of good reasons why they do what they do, and they think that's the cause of the terrible degeneration of Dharma. So he says, thus the doctrine of destroy or phar is destroyed. Yeah. Is to be abandoned. So one needs to learn to, the inferior person. Thus the doctrine of destroy or phar is to be abandoned. So one needs to know how to remove away from these 10 causes of degeneration. If you found very inspired by learning the 7 Vajra points, one has to make sure that your faith and devotion is not in person, institution, or schools, or traditions, or status, or whatever, but to these 7 gems, 7 Vajra points. That is Buddha's Vajra points, Dharma Vajra points, Sangha Vajra points, and then Buddha nature Vajra points, the Buddhahood Vajra points, and the qualities of the Buddha Vajra points, and then enlightened activities of Vajra points. And this is not to be confused with people also. So, because if one now fell under these any of these 10 causes of degeneration. Then result of that, as stated in verse number 399, he says one will fall in the lower realms. More than fire, cruel poisonous snakes, murderers and lightning, should the wise fear the loss of these profound teachings. So it's talking about that one should learn to fear these terrible hellfires and so on. Fire, snakes, enemies, thunderbolts only bring life to an end. They do not take one to the so frightful state of worst torment. So talking about negative consequences of people already experience. Of course, this is mainly talking about in the future lives. What future lives will be, lower realms. But person probably experience these very much in this very life too. There will be lots of enemy, and they avoid people, and they don't want to go near someone, and they don't want to be friend with somebody, and they completely racked by the enmity. They don't have to fear so much hell in next life. Particularly, they can't believe anyway. So in this life, they will be in fire. They will be in hell. If they are living in hell because they still have a lot of enmity and anger and feeling being wronged by others when they themselves don't know their own anger, or all of those 10 degenerative causes that we mentioned are causing them. Because they become blind. Remember, they lost the sight. They become totally lost the sight. As a result of that, it will prevent one's attaining enlightenment. That's verse number 400. It says, even one whose repeated association with the sinful friends has planted harmful intention towards the Buddha, and who commits the acts of killing father, mother, or an arhat, and cause schism in the noble Sangha, will be quickly liberated from sincere reflection about this nature of reality. How could they be liberated from one whose mind hates Dharma? Yes. Some people's aversion to Dharma can cause not only they are able to wanted to harm other people from practicing Dharma, they also have this amazing ill will towards the Dharma, as the Dharma destroy their life type of thing, Of course, Dharma doesn't destroy, but they have a totally different agenda. So that last verse, 400, and now so that is an interesting part that Asanga spent those couple of verses at the end, having taken a lot of more effort to inspire us to explain all of those verses. He focused on those 3 verses to warn us from danger of degenerating our faith in these seven Vajra points, and not become party to it. So with that, now comes to the last bit, his dedication of his work. This is in verse number 401. Whatever merit I have attained. So, of course, whatever merit here refers to not just to please people who are reading it for the day, or a lot of people are buying books because when they read it's so inspiring, so interesting, so joyful. But after that, they don't even want to read again. This kind of writing has no such merit. People don't read it because they liked it so much, because it's very difficult to know these meanings are there, and these verses are really terse and not easy to understand without commentary. Whatever merit I have attained through having properly explained these 7 points. Yeah, so he explained a small brief introduction, then he elaborated this in a very big way, and then he summarized them, then he uses beautiful analogies. So therefore he's saying properly explain these 7 points. Each of these 7 points, he's explained the 7 points in the sequence of the 7 Vajra points. What are the 7 points? The jewels. The jewels refer to Buddha jewel. First, he explained the Buddha jewel, because without the Buddha jewel, there's no Dharma. So he talks about Buddha jewel, and then the Dharma jewel, because Dharma came from the Buddha jewel. Enlightenment of Buddha came Dharma, and only when there's a teacher and the teaching, then there is a disciples. So the Sangha jewel came third, because it's those who heard the Dharma jewel from the Buddha, and then they became Sangha, and they're not only ordinary Sangha, but they become exalted, realized Arhats and Bodhisattva Sangha. Those are the jewels, the jewels, perfectly pure essence, that's referred to Buddha nature. That's the fourth Vajra points. Immaculate enlightenment, that is the fifth Vajra points. And its quality, that's the sixth Vajra points. And the enlightened activity, these seven. So having properly explained each of these, the first four jewels, took nearly 6 months for us to go through, and through it may all sentient beings see the sage Amitayus, So he's dedicating all the people to be able to witness, have the vision of Buddha Amitayus. Buddha Amitayus here is he's dedicating people having had this karma to listen and read this, and by him really merely writing this, he's dedicating for people to enjoy long life. Because if you study Dharma and listen Dharma, then your life is already long. Long means life is already rich. Doesn't mean long in terms of duration, but your life is full. Your life is full to the brim. You don't need to need to say I want to live longer, because even if you die tomorrow, your mind is full to the brim. Dharma is already full, and you couldn't have asked more. Having seen him, once the stainless Dharma eyes are opened, may they then achieve supreme enlightenment. So he's dedicating his work for the sake of people attaining enlightenment. I mean, what greater higher purpose than to dedicate his work for the enlightenment of sentient beings. And then now he summarizes on the verse, summarizes this through verse number 402, 3 and 4. These three verses are all dedication of the merit. On what basis, for what reason, in which way that which was explained in harmony with the cause have been taught by means of 4 stanzas. So here he's talking about for due to what reason, for what purposes, and he says that I have used very trustworthy scriptural quotations of the 7 Mahayana Sutras, as well as using logical reasons, and each of these verses has been explained. And how have they been explained? He's using those verses, starting with the brief account, then the elaborated account with the eulogies, with the analogies. And what did he explain is very meaningful. What did he explain? Is the meaningful and relevant teachings that everybody else was told that they have Buddha nature. And as moment you hear that you have Buddha nature, you're starting to have some respect towards yourself. And then also, this person in front of me too has the same, also has Buddha nature. Because of that, what has been explained is what has been explained is very, very meaningful, in harmony. Explained in harmony means it almost makes harmony to everyone. So this is the meaning. The 2 stanzas are to purify oneself, and one as the cause for the failure, 2 explains the result. So here, the four stanzas they're referring to, the two stanzas is mainly for one's own liberation, and then one is in order to show the cause of the degeneration, and the last one is how to achieve the result. So he's summarizing all of this in this way. Fourth and last verse, he says, in brief, the last stanza indicates twofold fruit of Dharma's forbearance. So last verse is talking about that one be born among the mandala of the mandala of enlightened ones as a retinue. And if one has achieved forbearance is Dharma's forbearance is at least in the path of preparation. If you have achieved the path of preparation after path of accumulation, then achievement of the Dharma's forbearance would guarantee achieving the attainment of enlightenment, and then one is automatically included as the retinue, as the audience in the mandala of the enlightened ones. So by doing this, the twofold achievements, with the temporary and ultimately, one who have heard the meaning and of the taking refuge in the triple gem, one who has found a refuge in the triple gem and causes the Buddha nature to be nurtured, the fourth gem, and then one achieves the Buddhahood, the fifth one, and then as a result of Buddhahood, then your qualities would have the profound ripple effect, and the activities of that will have same as the Buddha activities of the Buddha. And so all of these with these three verses, he summarizes the entire contents of the Mahayana Uttaratantra Shastra. So this is the fifth chapter on the benefits, benefits of 7 points. This fifth chapter is chapter only in text is highlighting the benefit of these 7 Vajra points, because of that, it has been concluded with the benefit of talking about the benefit of the 7 Vajra points, which is a part of the analysis of the potential of the rare and excellent. So rare and excellent is the gem, But the gem of the Buddha and gem of the Dharma, gem of Sangha are very rare, and not only rare, but if you found that has no use. There are many things that are rare and you found but still only no use. Strange but true, but they are rare but no use. But these are rare and excellent. If you found that Dharma, if you found refuge in the triple gem, it's very rare because most people don't have the merit to actually go for refuge, find refuge in the triple gem, because there are people taking refuge in people, and then and then it's not so rare because there are 7 billion others. If you're only taking gem as a kind of people, there will be not even 7 billion, and there maybe 4 billion. So. But this is rare because the triple gem is very rare to find. So, but once you find, it is excellent. So, if one finds the refuge in the triple gem, which is the first 3 gems, then that will naturally nurture your 4th Vajra point with your Buddha nature. When your Buddha nature is nurturing, what happens is then you are much more softer and kinder and gentler and like a bodhisattva would towards all sentient beings, including the difficult ones. Not as if some difficult, some not difficult. They're all a projection of ourselves anyway. So if the difficult sentient beings are not decreasing, that means we are not nurturing our own Buddha nature. If our Buddha nature is nurturing, we will find even difficult sentient beings as a cause of still seeing they too have Buddha nature. They too have Buddha nature, and that then shows it is nurturing your enlightenment. You are now enlightening because you are not judging things only on the appearance. You also know they too have Buddha nature. So that's why it is you can see the amazing potential the Buddha realizing this Buddha nature has, because you do not judge each other on the frailties or sufferings or problems of someone. They too have Buddha nature. Why? Only one who's nurturing his Buddha nature and getting some levels of enlightenment is able to keep that mentality. And that ability to keep that mentality is that which makes the qualities of the Buddha enlightenment then manifests. It's not decreasing of sentient beings who are unruly. It's the increasement of our compassion to them. Compassion to suffering of even one sentient being is too much. So there is no one sentient being exceptional, the others are not. Even one sentient being suffering is where your compassion is just as precious. So you cannot waste it doesn't go wasted by practicing compassion. Why? Because that is the quality of enlightenment. The quality of enlightened attributes is your compassion will become more and more valid. It becomes revalidated again and again, because now you have not only compassion, but you have the enlightening wisdom not to see things for what they appear as, because you have the wisdom discerning the emptiness of their faults. All the faults are adventitious. Their faults are adventitious. Therefore, the adventitiousness of their impurity, timandarung in Tibetan, timandarung, because you see the adventitiousness and abandonability of their faults, you do not lump them. The Buddha nature is not lumped into their fault, into the obscuration that temporarily covers them. Because of that quality, then there is the Buddha activity. Then it makes you to be generous when you are very mean, be patient when you are about to be impatient, and diligent when you're lazy, and forgiving when you are otherwise resentful. Then all the Buddha activities are, you actually carry out the very activities of the Buddha. So this is why this fifth chapter is talking about benefit, is how all the 7 Vajra points, the potential, the word analysis of the potential, meaning the Buddha nature. When you have the Buddha nature, is potential of the Buddha nature utilized, it's nurtured, and then it nurtured Buddha nature become enlightened, yeah? And then it has the qualities, and then it has the activities. And then you have realized the triple gem. Yeah, because of that you are able to be the Buddha and teach the Dharma and of course then support the Sangha. The rare and excellent in this Mahayana treatise on the supreme continuity. Mahayana treatise, which is Mahayana Shastra. Treatises, Shastra really means usually commentary. So therefore, it cannot be a root text. If it is Mahayana Shastra, it is not our root text. The root text is usually only taught by the Buddha. So Maitreya Buddha is a Buddha. How could Buddha teach a commentary? No, Buddha teaches the commentary. Buddha teaches the sutra and tantra. So Mahayana treatise on the supreme continuity in Utttaratantra. The supreme continuity is translation of Utttaratantra. Tantra is not to be confused with Tantra as esoteric teaching. Tantra means continuity. Even the word Tantra in Tantra is still referring to the continuum of the mind stream of individuals. It is not referring to some esoteric teachings. Supreme meaning that it is most highest kind of teaching is that what is the supreme continuity? Is the Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the kind of right from the very beginning. If it haven't got a beginning, from the end all the time, the continuity of the Buddha nature is same. So it's like the intrinsic pure nature of the mind. That's referred to the clear luminous nature of the mind. But that clear luminous nature mind is temporarily obscured and covered like the statue under a rag, or a future king in the mother's womb, or the honey inside the honeycomb covered by many stinging bees, and all of that. All those analogies that we went through, yeah? All those analogies. They don't realize all the bees and the stinging bees actually is the cause of one who makes the honey, and so on. So we need to therefore see who all sentient beings have this indwelling honey or qualities of Buddha nature that is supreme, no less good than those of the Buddha's mental continuum. Actual mental continuum or Buddha nature mind of sentient beings, no difference, no kind of, you don't have to assess someone's Buddha natures, these others in their nature. They're all supreme, and their continuity is perfect in itself. So that's why you can see the Vajrayana teachings. For the Vajrayana teaching, you can see the practice of existence of Buddha nature in everyone is the cause of seeing everybody as a deity. Because if you are able to fully realize your own Buddha nature, then you will see all beings as same. Because that's why it says you have to try to see everyone as a deity. All your thought as a wisdom, all your sound as a mantra. It's only when you have realize that Buddha nature, and it has been completely revealed, and now it is completely shown. So with that, we are concluding here, and the text says this was translated from the Indian. Indian refers to Sanskrit. In India, they have 720 languages during Buddha's time. And out of that, there are 4 major languages, Sanskrit means well created, a language of the gods. Apabramsha is another language. Prakrita is another language. And the Pishatsi is kind of cannibal's language. So there are 4 major languages during those days, and in this case, from the Indian means Sanskrit language of the gods and the learned. It still is, Indian. By the great Indian Pandita is the Indian Pandita. Pandita is necessarily Indian. Pandita means one who mastered 5 sciences. The word pan comes from the 5. Dita means knowledge, who mastered 5 fields of knowledge, not just one in biology or another in botany or another in zoology, not like that. They're all kind science. They're all in one, I think. They're only one of the 5. They're all the modern departments are all 1 in 5. So they're talking about linguistics, medicine, epistemology, and medicine, and then philosophy. The 5th one is the philosophy. We can call it Dharma. So Pandita is usually one who has mastered all of these 5. And who's that? Pandita and scholar. Sajjana. Sajjana is the name of the Indian Mahapandita. Not a very well-known one, but when you look in the list of the text translated, then he who is the grandson of the Brahmin Ratnavajra. Ratnavajra, so you can see where the Ratnavajra's name came from now. Brahmin Ratnavajra, the great scholar of Srinagar. Srinagar is in capital of Kashmir, Kashmir. It's a very famous city where Tibetan from the western Tibet used to go and study in Srinagar. It's like the Kathmandu of Kashmir, when people came to Kathmandu in Tibet, they actually went to a place called Patan. They never went to Kathmandu. Kathmandu was very Hindu, but the Patan was a really Buddhist town, so people used to go there. Likewise, Tibetans went to the western, they went to Srinagar. Srinagar, the word Srinagar is Tibetan translated as immaculate town, because Sri means glorious city. Srinagar. Even in today, it's called Srinagar. That's a golden temple. Golden Temple is near Amritsar, but Amritsar very near. So from this point of view, it's there. From where you go there, it's not in the same town. So Golden Temple is of course to do with Sikh people, but Srinagar is the capital of that area. When you go in Srinagar Golden Temple, experience half a day there, you wouldn't believe how religious and how generous people are. The Sikh people are, you can confuse them with Buddhist. Even Buddhists aren't that good sometimes. The Sikh people are really, really special. I tell you that. Tibetans go to some Sikh temple, they come back changed. They say, "Oh, we never know Indians like this." The Sikhs got a very special spiritual qualities. Srinagar. You go to Sikh community in Australia, you wouldn't believe they are always feeding everybody with abundance, and they never talk about everybody looking after themselves. It's a taboo. It's such a bad conduct. They should always feed everybody, bring everybody. And look, during the recent pandemic in Australia, did you notice the Sikh communities are feeding thousands and thousands? You go to Srinagar, that's they're doing that all the time. They're feeding thousands and thousands every day, and all just devotion, because they believe that giving is the way. So, great scholar of Srinagar. So, and the Tibetan translator, Shakya monk, Longton Sheja Kunrig. Longton Sheja is one of the three famous one. Lotsawa Longton Sheja and Lotsawa Rinchen Zangpo, because ku ngok drum, we have a ku, and then ngok is ngok Longton Sheja. Ngok is his family. Drum is a drum. So there are three families who have produced best translators in Tibet, and he come from the ngok Lotsawa Longton Sheja. He had his uncle, very very famous one. They found the famous monastery of Sangpu, just outside Lhasa. There they found the Sangpu University. Yeah, so Longton Sheja in Srinagar. See, they translated in Srinagar. Not only the Brahmin Vajra and Sajjana came from there, they translated in that very city. So they tell who, where. They don't quite say when. So they don't write the month or the year because it's not so important. The fact that they translated is very important. So that concludes our sacred text. What a great blessings that we had everybody's company and studying these texts. And I've been using the Rongton's commentary. Rongton is one of the early commentators of all works of Asanga, not just this. And then there are many other Tibetan scholars who have also written commentaries. And of course, Asanga himself has written another commentary called Auto Commentary. Auto Commentary is also in the Tengyur. So root text, and followed by auto commentary. And most of the commentaries are based on auto commentary of the author, because the author knows why he's writing the things what he's writing, because they're writing in very long. Some are 7 syllable verses. Others are 19 syllable verses. So here we conclude. Everyone, thank you very much. We have a bit of time tonight just to maybe share a little bit, because I'm sure we are all have created this fellowship, not because of pandemic as only one, but because all of our common interests in the text, and so we will give people the opportunity to unmute themselves and say a few words, particularly the last one or two verse we just read, in the danger of degeneration. Of course, one who studies the Dharma, we are able to we are able to study together like that. Yes, please feel free to write the words. If you feel to type in the chat box, I'll read it out to you. But those who are much prefer to speak few words, because you're all with very familiar faces. We've been seeing each other nearly 13, 14 months, some of you much more than that. So please feel free to unmute yourself and say a few words by way of encouraging each other, and how good it is. Good it is to do this little bit of study like this. It's not like studying in university and doing courses and try to sit in exams and have the pressure to do very well. Of course, even that gives lots of people lots of good training and good confidence. But this is a heartfelt study, listening to the teachings in this way. But we haven't been very, very interactive, except sometimes people be asking otherwise. So let's take some time to hear from all of you. So please unmute yourself. I'm sure we can make you audible and
Hello, Rinpoche and everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
My internet's never very good, so I hope it doesn't cut out. Well, it's just been so enlightening, and I think that's the purpose of it, isn't it? As far as the degeneration of the identifying the causes of degeneration, Rinpoche, we rely on you to keep us on the path and to remind us where we're falling off the path, and you're really good at doing that. My biggest joy of this teaching is the fourth Vajra point, the Buddha nature, because we all have it already. We have refuge in the Triple Gem, and because of that we've learnt that we have the Buddha nature, and because of the Buddha nature we can then go ahead and become Buddhas, have Buddha activity and have the enlightened qualities just by relying on the Buddha nature, and by relying on the knowledge that all sentient beings have the Buddha nature, we can develop respect and wisdom towards them, also compassion towards them. I don't think there's any greater value in the world than these teachings. That I think that all the money in the world couldn't buy them. I think we're so lucky, and we're so lucky to have had you to explain them to us, Rinpoche, and all the masters of the past, that Asanga and the translators, and we're just so lucky, we're just so fortunate. It's unbelievable. And to have had the company of such interested people, it just sets my heart on fire. But there's a couple of questions I had. Verses 380, 381 and 379, I just can't really see that suppresses is the right word. It must be surpasses.
380, did you say?
Yeah. 379, on the bottom of page 4, it suppresses the merit derived from generosity. Well, suppresses is kind of not the right information. To me anyway, I don't know what everyone else thinks about that.
$379?
Yeah, 379. Verse 379 on page 4. It's just a few pages back. It was not last week, but the week before.
One who, having heard just one word on this and cultivate faith in this, will gain, attain greater virtue than one who, having strived at enlightenment, offers golden rams adorned with jewels, equal.
The title in the bold just before it.
Huh?
The title in bold just before 379.
Title? Oh yeah. This suppresses the merit derived from. Yeah. So what's wrong with that? Because the title is the
Needs to.
meaning the benefit of learning these 7 Vajra point surpasses. Sorry. Oh yeah, it is surpasses. It's not suppresses. Well, it does suppress the merit derived from generosity, meaning the merit from generosity is looks like nothing, in comparison to
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it is suppressed.
Yeah. It is suppressed. Yes.
One word of these teachings.
Yeah.
I understand. Yes.
Yeah. It suppresses the merit derived from generosity. It also does the same. Silgyenon in Tibetan says Silgyenons. So I got those titles on each of the 3. Verse number 379, 80, and 81. They all have the same, meaning it suppresses the merit. Of course, it surpasses as well.
Yeah, I get suppressors now. I didn't get it before.
Okay, that's good. Your question enabled to
Thank you.
get.
Yeah, so thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I'd like to say that it's been wonderful to have the teachings, but also to have them on the channels that we can review them, go back over them again, and in many cases for me to be able to attend them at an hour that's more suited to my biusual rhythms. So it's been great having the technical support. I really appreciate that. And Wolfie and I are on holiday at the moment. We often go away at this time of the year, and it's a really good chance to review and catch up on the teachings, just to go over such a huge body of teaching. It's it's just so much there. It feels wonderful to be able to have access to review again and again parts of it. But like Kathy said, the teachings on Buddha Nape so profound and heartening. Yeah, so thank you very much for bringing these to us, and I look forward to joining in again next year and seeing everybody again. It's lovely to have this group of students. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. It's a very good thing that we have not only being able to listen and watch on the night, but always there in the cloud on the YouTube. So Paul Binos here and York, they are really the 2 person who makes it all possible. I have no way of knowing how to do any of that. So yeah, they are here always. They arrive early. Like York arrived here many hours before, and Paul and they stay behind and pack everything up. An hour later they come home. And when we finish at 9:30 is late enough, they don't get home until 11 o'clock. So I think they have definitely made not only benefit to us directly, but many people. You wouldn't believe, as a result of this platform sharing these teachings, people in somewhere in the world have discovered my teachings, and then now they have approached me to teach to the wider audience, which I started last weekend, and they are now having like 1,200 people watching on Zoom and YouTube, and into 12 languages, 46 countries, and they want this to continue regularly on the practices teaching. So these all through some of your generosity, and particularly generosity of time and technical knowledge of putting this all on YouTube. And we received not only that, they said the quality of the camera, and of course the content is not unquestionable because it came from Buddha himself. So the being able to transmit, sometimes it doesn't drop the internet. He is very good, and YouTube is you can watch anytime. I also sometimes watch myself, not because it's me teaching, but because it's, I need to learn more. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I hope you're hearing me.
Oh yes, I can hear you, Eric.
Thank you. Probably the part for me that resonated the most about the whole teaching, actually the enlightened activities at the end. So understanding the Buddha nature and so on was actually really, really good. But the way the enlightened activities were presented really resonated with me because you could always feel that every activity around you, if you actually open your mind to it, becomes a Buddha activity and becomes a teaching. And it was almost like it was opening the entire space, the entire world, as that maybe was a teaching for me. Or maybe it was the Buddha who wanted to teach me something with the dog biting my leg. And really trying to bring some teaching at my level. And so really that all those similes and all the Buddha activities are actually presented to the world, made me think that, well, everything can actually become a Buddha activity. And I think that for me was a kind of a bit of a shift, which probably can still have to think about it. It can change the way I'm looking at the world.
Indeed, this very YouTube is a Buddha activity. This YouTube is a Buddha activity. We call them as we call birth nirmanakaya. Artistic nirmanakaya. The technological nirmanakaya. Technological nirmanakaya. Yeah, definitely we can see that. Even something terrible happening to us when we usually do not, even difficult things happening, they are really wake-up call for us. And people only learn when they face difficulties, not because they are smooth sailing. So even when things are very, very difficult, then it switches your mind to what it means by have bodhicitta. Even someone says we're very unkind or aggressive towards you, but you actually realize that their unkindness is not intended. They too have Buddha nature. This is the bee that has produced all the honey and he's stinging me. So I'm very ungrateful bastard. I'm attacking all the bees that is actually producing the honey that I've been kept taking so much so, and instead of learning to wear a miserable cap and I'm attacking the bees. So we begin to think like that. So those analogies are even more useful because each of the analogies were not or relevant to each of the 9 different afflictions. All the 9 analogies were compared with the 9 different afflictions. So yeah, the Buddha activity is definitely, Eric. That's why it is the 7th one, because it never stops. Buddha activity continue to echo. Thank you.
Proceed with unmuted. I have to go next.
Yes, we can hear you, Carolyn.
Yeah, so I suppose that one of the reasons I wanted to do this particular one in the first place, apart from continuing to have lessons each week, is because it was right up front. This is one of the texts taught in every monastery, and I thought, well, it's really nice to have a well-rounded teaching, like taught things that they teach in monasteries, so that I have a proper education, sort of thing. So that was one of the motivations, one of the things that really appealed to me. I also asked you about the what are the 18? So maybe you can go through all 18 for us. But anyway, so I appreciated that. And the other thing that I really enjoy as well is all the analogies. And one thing I like about them is they're not discursive, and you explain them really well. They're not discursive, so it's sort of like an image in your mind. And one of the things you're supposed to relinquish is discursive thoughts. So although it's still a thought, the imagery and the analogy in your mind is still a thought. I sort of feel like it's a step back from the actual talk. You just have this image, and it's sort of like a shorthand. It encapsulates a whole lot in just the one image. So I've really enjoyed the analogies too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. When I wrote a book called Healing Relationship, the front cover of the Healing Relationship was a bee. It was bee on the flower taking the honey. So I also love the analogy of all the analogies so much, particularly the bee and the honey bit. So the people don't realize the relationship difficulties they're having with somebody is actually the bee, the bee from which they need to learn how to take the honey and not be disturbed by the bee-like stings that maybe they say something or does something or maybe you find a bit annoying or whatever. They actually, when they are the actually one through which I can really generate bodhicitta by working with sentient beings like this. Only someone who's critical to me, I have chance to practice patience. And then if everybody is nice to me, I never get to nurture any of my Buddha nature. Then I never produce. It's like the ordinary house bee. House bee never produce any honey. Whereas a stinging bee, the bee who produces honey actually does. So those analogies are incredible. Really, they are actually also not Asanga's analogy. This Asanga didn't invent this analogy. This analogy is all in the Mahayana Sutras. He lists all the names of the Mahayana Sutras.
Also, they're everyday analogies. So you see bees all the time, and when you see a bee, or you see the moon, or it rains on you, it immediately gives you a little reminder too. So that's also very nice.
Yeah, indeed.
Rinpoche, there's a text in the chat box from Pierre and Gala.
Oh, yes, that's okay. I was just waiting till Rinpoche, had a minute. I thought that it may not have come across clearly, because I think, but it is about the textbook. I was just asking about the textbook, Rinpoche,
you said, please write text in the chat.
Yes,
What do you mean by
the textbook, actually. I meant the textbook.
Yeah.
The textbook.
Did you get the textbook?
No. I only have your meditation one, which is the one you wrote.
This text was sent each term. This last one was sent all together, but this whole text is now in is ready to go. So if you haven't received, we could send to you. Everybody else has received. Everybody else has received it. So you probably joined only last two or terms. If you haven't received, yeah. Yeah, so sometimes
Can I purchase?
there's no
Can I
this
buy it on,
no
online? Or?
this text will be freely available. You don't need to buy.
Oh,
You just
right, thank you.
our secretary's time has to be bought. That's the problem. Secretary or lack of it.
Sounds
Sometimes
wonderful.
sometimes we don't.
I'd like to I'd like to echo what the other ladies and gentlemen said. The sentiments. I think I agree with everything everyone has said, and it's just the teachings are wonderful. I always look forward to your teachings, and no matter what happens, I'm there well beforehand, waiting for you to come on, because I truly have enjoyed them really very much, and I have been able to use them in my daily interactions with, for example, a difficult family member. So your teachings have kind of resonated in my mind, and I've been able to use those in my dealings with, difficult people. Yeah.
Yes, we need swarms of bees, not one or two.
Yeah.
You don't need swarms. Viola here is shaking her head. She says, "I don't need swarms of bees. One is enough." Yeah.
I just hope we don't lose you, and you become too popular, and too many people want you giving teachings online. Yeah. And we want our own teachings. Yeah.
No. If I'm teaching online, I'm teaching like this, But if you see the advertisement, then you can join. You can register with them. So you're just one of like here today, So and they have huge list. So they are into thousands, and they reply everyone, give the Zoom link, and so it's not as the people have to pay or anything like that. So you just have to register, and that's it. So they are just as open as like this. Yeah. So like this Saturday, and it's mid to 10 o'clock there. I'm doing teaching. So these are all. If you look at in the Facebook, they go Sakya Friends, and the words SAKYA and the friends, and you will see the activities, and then you just contact them, and they're very very good. So it's just hours they want me to teach at 10 p.m. Australia time, which is more appropriate time to some other places, and I said then that's fine. I'm not in Australia. They just have to think I'm not in Australia. I'm somewhere in Eastern Europe or somewhere, which is right time for them. And if I do once every few months, it's not too bad, Yeah, Anthony, we can't hear you very well, so if you have a mic, you need to use.
Having harmony with everyone, and own conviction anyway. And, yeah. I think as well.
Thank you, Anthony. Anyone else? We can't hear you, and Irina. We can see you what you're saying already, so we don't hear you. That's okay. We can see that you're talking. It's enough. Anyone else wish to say a few words? Please put your hands up quick. We still got 15 minutes, so we're not. Okay, so thank you for everybody's most importantly, everybody's really diligent attendance every week. That probably says a lot how much benefit there is in being part of studying this very famous Buddhist textbook that they probably would study at least good half year in Tibetan monasteries, taking class every day and so on. I remember when I heard this probably was taught in 3 weeks, and at 3 weeks every day, at least through 3 hours. And so in comparison to that, we did only an hour, maybe two, or about 2 hours each week. So over like say maybe about 50 sessions, 50 sessions, and 2 hours each. That's 100 hours. So probably we haven't done too bad. But of course we haven't memorized the text or anything like that. But I had a good opportunity to translate them. There are a few other translations of this root text. There are even books published on this, but I haven't been able to compare them a lot. So there are Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche community called Siddhartha Intent. They have put his transcript of his teaching online, so and the translation. So I was able to compare as I was translating with his and someone else's. They do differ a lot. So I still wouldn't regard this translation as is perfect, never is perfect. There's still lots of room for improvement. Anyway, so thank you, everybody. We have good reason here to rejoice, and we have tried to nurture our own Buddha nature and rejoice the Buddhahood of the Shakyamuni's enlightenment, and many other sanghas who became part of the third Vajra point, the Sangha, that's Arhats and Bodhisattvas, and all the great Indian Mahasiddhas and Panditas and Tibetan teachers, scholars, masters, Lotsawas, and the authors and commentators. All of them has made these teachings such a living currency over the last, 1700 years. And then no wonder why it became a textbook to all the monasteries. And it is one of the texts that has a it has still got some debate among scholars about some issues, but it is one of the texts that has very little, polemical writings on this. And usually the scholars always wrangle about some things, and some people think there is a problem in the concept of Buddha nature because it has a feeling as it is like a soul or atma as being permanent. But of course that's philosophically everything can be philosophized, and so. But first we have to get the enlightenment first. Then we'll check whether it's permanent or not. So I think that's the sky will never fall down. So. So there are some kind of dialectically they have been engaged in some argument, but it's usually Rongton has written a number of commentaries on many of the textbooks, and when I read this, there's not a single place where he indulges himself in a sectarian dialectical argument. So therefore, it's very positive. It harmonizes all schools and all traditions, and from that point of view, why Buddha nature should be the first topic in the graduate path to enlightenment, not hell and hungry ghosts. And so that's why Sakya Pandita, if you look at Sakya Pandita's work called Clarifying the Sage's Intent, his first topic of his tracks is Buddha nature, So that shows how harmonizing figure Sakya Pandita became in Tibet, and he's a kind of undisputed teacher of all lineages because he is one of the pioneer scholars to write the graduate path to enlightenment, but he didn't start talking about hell and hungry ghosts at all. He started talking about the Buddha nature and the 6 paramitas and how you nurture to practice them, and the right view and the Buddhahood. Even though he doesn't use the 7 Vajra points concept in that, because his text is designed for lay people, and he doesn't spend as much time as this book does. And then also another text, Tibetan Buddhist text, is by Gampopa. Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation. He too follows the same structure of using the Buddha nature as the first topic in his book, rather than the hell realms and so on. But other Tibetan texts written by all Tibetan schools tend to spend a lot of the time in the sufferings of the lower realms first. And like in the Triple Vision in Sakya and Gelugpa's the graduate path to enlightenment, and they all spend too much time on the hells and hungry ghosts, hardly mention the Buddha nature at all in those texts. So there's definitely a call for rewriting of some of the textbooks for the particularly consumption of lay people. In the monastery they have to study these texts anywhere, whichever, but lay people who don't have time to study all of the 18, at least even one of them, that text like the graduate path to enlightenment is a must for everyone, but quite a lot of time they spend too much time in the sufferings and the hell realms and so on. Most people get frightened by that, and so there is a call for among recent teachers saying that maybe the some of the graduate path of enlightenment topics are not graduatable because there's a deadlock. People get almost discouraged by the first subject and don't want to go anywhere nearby it. So that's why this Buddha nature topic is very harmonizing. That's exactly the last verse was saying, that it harmonizes everyone, to make everyone, no matter how difficult someone is, that you still need to work with them harmoniously. You don't put anyone out of the scene, either because you have aversion to hell beings or hungry ghosts or whatever. But they still have Buddha nature. It's such a positive way of starting. Most religious doctrines always frighten everybody, and that's really. And His Holiness Dalai Lama jokingly said to, not jokingly, but he says that he's emphasizing bodhicitta and kind heart all the time. He says, we should always focus on how to be kind and rather than frightening people about talking about hell realms and hungry ghosts. And he says, in the old days, people say, "Where did your mom and dad go?" He says, they went to listen to frighten the old people. Of the next rebirths, hell realms, hungry ghosts. That's all they hear. They get frightened by the description of that. Try to frighten people to come to the Dharma is not the way. But rather than try to encourage people that they have Buddha nature, and they have amazing potentials, and they all mean very well. And no matter how difficult someone is, they still are their best. They still have many hidden gems, and quite a lot of them, their gems are there already. We just don't recognize because we're too negative. But they too have gems, and this is very, very important, because people always lump each other with the perceived mistakes or limitations, and they totally forget the whole picture because they're always focusing on the original sin or whatever, rather than to the what we call the original good. Original good. That's why I wrote the book Original Virtue. When I taught the Sakya Panditas clarifying the sage's intent, the transcript of that was put together. I didn't dare to put it as a clarifying sage's intent, because that's Sakya Pandita's original title. So we cannot do. I therefore wrote it called The Original Virtue. So we have a book. I'm not promoting the book but I wrote the book because I've seen this original sin idea so much, and talking about the negative things about the three lower realms and so on. So I wrote the book called Original Virtue. So these are the story. Now, thank you very much, everyone. And helping me to study myself more than teach you. So we are all friends, and we are all fellow practitioners, and so we are all indispensable. Spending time together each once a week together like this has been very great. So it to me it's usually day and a half's preparation at least, because the day and the more than one day that makes me to translate and read the commentaries. It's actually I have to bury my head very, very much into it, and if I didn't do enough, I can't even have the confidence to teach, because I have to do this. All these texts are all highlighted like this everywhere. So these textbooks is only acceptable to myself, because there are all markings everywhere and highlight everywhere. And so if I can only do each textbook like this, then I've been able to study something, because studying Dharma, let alone writing and reading, teaching, is one of the 10 Dharma activities. So I have been able to do a little bit of study so that I can explain it to you what I've been studying. So thank you very much. We'll do the dedication merits, and I'm sure we'll see each other again in the near future. And next year's terms, new topic will all be soon published on the website. Until then, thank you very much. Om Bade Mere Me Vibhanga Da Deva Menzage Omneze Me Ale Bere Robe Ojana Padare Zenede Herenda Mahayana Dije Vajra Merera Hevega Mehobe Begans Delavas Choedak Mahayana Dije Hereje Manjushrene Azama Dabadra de Lava Walove Ahode Zambo Ajade Dege de Mere Mede Zaleba de Jeda Deba Erana Yadaza Vera Bembo Medenger Releve Dadi
So thank you, Lama Choedak Rinpoche, on behalf of all your students, both in person and online, for yet another term and indeed year of wonderful Dharma teachings. So we'll have a break now over the summer and we'll reconvene in February next year. And we look forward, Rinpoche, to your announcement of the topic for next year. So please keep in touch via our website, sakya, sakya.com.au. And thank you, as usual, to our technical team, committee, and sponsors and patrons for contributing to these ongoing teachings. So happy holidays, everyone, and we wish you all a safe and enjoyable holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.